I'm Scott Mason. Welcome to Aglife. You know, spring has finally sprung, and you know how you can tell when you're at these car shows and you see these classic vehicles springing up. Come along with us, let's check them out. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm here with Alex Boxel. He organizes this event. Tell us about your group, Alex.
Well, we've been doing this for about almost 6 years. So this will be our 5th full year. Each month, it's the 4th Friday of every month from April to September, then the last Sunday in October.
Now, how many cars do you expect to have here tonight, though? I'm sure they're coming in.
They're coming in already. They've actually been here probably since 3:30, and we usually get up here around 4:30, 5 o'clock. But we averaged last year about 70 to 80 cars last year. And in October, we had like 120, I think. So I'm hoping for 80 tonight to start off the year. Having a good start is always makes it a bigger year for you.
Yeah, getting out the gate quick. You happen to be a car salesman. I know that as well.
I'm a car salesman.
So this is your niche.
It is my niche, and I love it. My parents grew up with the cars. So I kind of, rubbed off from that, but then it's one of those things.
And this has got to be time consuming. So why do you do this?
I do it because I love it, and it's something my family and I have been doing it for a while. That we can continue to do it. When I have kids, we can do it with our kids and stuff like that. Something our families really, really loves it and is passionate about.
He's a local celebrity. I got you. He almost sang with me last week. I'm here with Jack and If, a guy that is a mechanic locally and probably worked on half of these 100 cars we're going to see here today. Jack, now this is one of your favorite you pointed out a little bit ago. This is a 48 Chevy, isn't that right?
48 Chevy Fleet Master. It's something I'm more interested in than the later model cars because this is what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so makes it more interesting to me, to see something in the 40s or 50s along in there.
Let's walk around it, and I know you judge some of these events at these car shows. If you were judging this vehicle, what would you look for that stands out to you?
Well, you look for the condition of the chrome, of course the condition of the paint. Now, he's got some bugs on there. You don't knock off for that because he drives it.
Right.
That's what it's for, is to drive. And
this looks like one of those old mobster cars you can see in some of those movies where they all load in.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at the interior of this. I know you've done some interior work for some folks up here. What would you score that?
Well, the interior, to me, looks original, so you don't knock off points if it's a decent, original interior. And this one is just a well-kept original interior, and so out of 100 points, well, I'd give him 90 on it. It's just as good and functional as a redone interior, and to me, I have to appreciate a car this old that has been taken care of and just not discarded. Yeah, it's detailed out, and now you get some of the indoor shows, they have to be pretty well perfect. Judges will knock off for anything, but anytime I was ever judging a show, if it was something that had obviously been driven, why, you don't knock off anything for that.
You said you wouldn't have a car that you couldn't drive. A lot of guys buy these and store them, but you're a guy that wants to bring yours out.
I drive the snot out of mine. We had a 46 Packard that we drove all over the United States that rode and drove and cruised better than any new car you can go and buy. And just because they're new don't necessarily make them better.
Yeah. Hey, if you get a chance, you need to come out to some of these car shows. We've seen cars from the 40s, from the 50s, the 60s, even up to today. I really can't think of anything that's more Americana than this.
Welcome back to Aglife. My name is Camille Lambert. I'm the Ag Extension Agent here in Henderson County, and today we're going to have some fun with weeds. I really enjoy talking about weeds because it can be one of the biggest troubles with farmers, so getting them the help they need to control the weeds is very important to me. Here today, I have two of the most prolific weeds throughout this region. They started down in Mexico, way deep south, and through cotton holes and stuff like that in the livestock feed, they have made their way up through the river and to this area in Kentucky and Indiana. These two weeds are amaranth species. One is Palmer amaranth and the other is water hemp. They are both the same species, but they act a little differently. Palmer amaranth, it has a quicker growth to it. It can rapidly take over a field if you're not careful. Water hemp is still a bad weed. It's gonna take over too, but it's not as bad as the Palmer amaranth. The main thing that you need to know when dealing with these plants is that you have to identify them before they are this big. Once they are this big, they are a booger to control. So you want to control them before they're about, 3 to 4 inches tall. So that, this is already past that. So it's going to be more difficult to control. The thing that I like to tell people when they identify these two species, because there are several others, there is a smooth pigweed, which we've seen here for many, many years. These two are more recent additions into this area, and it's kind of backwards. Smooth pigweed actually has hairs on it. So when you're looking to identify these weeds, you want to look very closely at the stem and the leaves. And if it has the absence of hair, then you know that it's one of these two worse weeds. So this is a smooth stem, so right away we know that it's not smooth pigweed, which is the one that's easier to control. This one actually is water hemp. It has more lance-shaped leaves. They're not as wide, so they're kind of skinnier. If you look at the Palmer amaranth, we can compare the leaves. This one's kind of wider, and then it comes in, and this one's just kind of lance. That's the way that you can pretty much separate the two, although they're very hard to separate when you're out in a field and you have no idea what you're looking at. And that's where we come in. Extension can really come out to the field to help you identify the weeds before they get too big. You can take a picture of a weed and send it to any extension agent. You can email it, text it, bring the weed into the office. We are happy to help you identify, because this right here can majorly impact your crop. So you want to make sure that you control the weeds so that you still get that good crop each year. Now, I have a poster that I brought today. I have many of these at my office and I'm happy to share with you, but this is kind of a herbicide classification poster. And on it, it shows the different types of herbicides and how many weeds are resistant. So these two weeds happen to most of the time be Roundup resistant, which is glyphosate, the active ingredient. But it's just pretty crazy to see so many weeds are resistant. So this is the glyphosate herbicide. It has 14 weeds that are resistant to it. So you really want to make sure that you're mixing up your herbicides. You don't want to use the same one year after year, because that's what can cause this resistance in the field. You want to make sure you're switching your modes of action to something a little different each year. And that's, again, I'm happy to help you with that if you need any help. This is one of my favorite books that I always have with me, Weeds of the South. It has pretty much every single weed that you will encounter. So here's Palmer amaranth listed in this book. And again, you can see that leaf shape is very identical to the live weed that I showed you. So if you see anything that looks like this in your fields, make sure you get in touch with your extension office and you get this under control before it takes over the field, because just in 2 or 3 years, your whole field can rapidly be taken over. It really is also important. The seed on this weed is so small. It's like the ballpoint of a pen. So you really want to make sure that when you're transporting your equipment from field to field, that you know that you have a weed like this. You're cleaning everything off as best as you can. I know it's very difficult to clean everything perfectly, but also around your grain bins. When you go and dump your grain in the fall after harvest and you see something like this come up around your grain bin, you want to make sure you control it, because the seed is so small and it can produce thousands upon thousands of seed on one plant. So you want to make sure that you get rid of it before it goes to seed so that you don't get it on your equipment and spread it from a field that had it or where the grain bins are to a field that didn't have it. And pretty soon, before you know it, all of your fields will be covered with this weed. It's a really, really big problem in the south, and it's getting to be a big problem in this area. So we want to make sure we are proactive and do our best to keep it from becoming too big of an issue. Thanks for tuning in to learn about 2 of the worst weeds in this area. I hope that you'll take into consideration some of the things that I discussed today. It's very important that you control the weeds before they get too big. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more Ag Life.
Welcome back to Aglife. We're going to talk about building today. Kiesel Enterprises, they build grain bins. They also build relationships. Come on inside and we'll check it out. Hey Randy, how's it going?
Hey Scott, good to see you again.
Okay, the last time we met, we talked about risk management with grain. Today we're going to talk about solutions. Let's talk about that.
That's right. That's what part of the services we offer here at Kiesel Enterprises, and that's to help that farmer discern what's the best solution for him to manage his risk there at the farm. Why don't you come into office? We'll talk about it.
Let's do it. Well, Randy, we talked about solutions. What kind of solutions do you provide? I'm sure every farm is different, so let's talk about that.
Well, there's a lot of things that go into our business in discerning for that farmer what's going to be the best solution for him. And a lot of that is going to take, we got to do a lot of homework and searching what it is that farmer's doing, what size of operation he is, how many people are involved. It may be dad by himself, and maybe a dad and his son, and so it's multi-generational. This thing may be a 100-year plan. I feel very fortunate that I'm involved in a business that involves a lot of long-term relationships. The equipment that we sell for the farmers, they last up to 40, 50 years. So it's a very long-term project, and we try to build those relationships, understanding that we hope to be able to service this equipment for that farm family. A lot of times it lasts for many generations. Or his sons may be owning these grain bins that we will be working on.
Well, Randy, if you got a truck handy, why don't we jump in your truck, go to some of the sites, take a look so our viewers will get first-hand knowledge of this.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think getting able to see it's going to be a lot easier and easier to understand.
Let's do it. Now, Randy, we was talking about the 5 points. I really don't understand the total 5-point concept that you explained.
Well, like I was mentioning, each grain system really has what I consider 5 major components. First is going to be the receiving. We got the grain coming in from the fields in the trucks.
Okay.
And like in this system here, we got a dump pit that he's going to back his truck up to or pull it up to, dump it into there. Then we got to have our grain dryer. So we're going to take the grain out of this pit, up these grain legs, and dump it over here in this grain dryer, which is inside that grain bin.
This transfers it to you.
That's right. This leg system becomes the transfer system.
Okay.
Because once it's dried and conditioned in that grain bin, then we're going to bring it back out into one of these grain legs, and it's going to transfer it over here to the storage structure. So we've mentioned already 4 of the 5 components. We got the receiving leg, we got the transfer system, we got the dryer, we got the storage structures, and then after that's all conditioned and in good shape, then he's going to market it. He's going to send this off to whoever the processor is going to want, whether it's a flour mill or an ethanol plant, or whether it be a cattle feeder. So it comes back out of these structures through those conveyors, back into this transfer system, right into the truck. So it's a 5-step system.
In this system here, how many bushels are we talking? What will this accommodate?
Obviously, different farms have different volumes. This grain bin over here is going to hold around 80,000 bushel. We got about 30,000 bushel over here in this structure. These bins over here are going to hold probably a combination of about 15. So you got about 95,000 bushel here that's going to be run through this grain
Pretty large
system.
operation.
Yeah.
You have other farms we can take a look at?
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's drive to another site. We'll take a look
Jump in
at
that truck. Let's go.
All right.
We're here at the Ag Expo in Owensboro, Kentucky. All kinds of booths, all kinds of fun. Going to talk to a lot of farmers, see what's going on today. Come with us, we'll check it out. Hi Mike, good to see you.
Yes, good afternoon.
We're going to talk to you a little bit about your organization called Circle of Hearts. You want to tell us what that's all about?
Circle of Hearts is a driving component of something called Dream Riders of Kentucky. So Dream Riders is a program designed to give physically and mentally handicapped young children and adults therapy, using horses as the primary tool of therapy instead of having them in a clinical setting where they might be getting their limbs stretched and that sort of thing. So we put them on horses, and much of the therapy has to do with simply the joy of being able to ride a horse.
Now, I see you have lifts. Tell us a little bit about the lifts that you have.
In our setting, we have a large indoor arena. We maintain 12 horses, which become the therapy tools. We'll have 50 or 60 volunteers who come out on kind of a rotational basis. And then we have devices that help those who have limited mobility. And one would be simply a ramp so that the client can be at a higher elevation and have them easily transferred to the horse. And then we have a lift which removes those who are wheelchair bound, and we lift them up out of the wheelchair and then we slide them over on a device and then set them down comfortably onto the horse.
And you've had children in ages, adults?
Roughly 2 years old to 60. We had a lady not too long ago who had been severely beaten, left by her husband, left for dead. Many consequences to that event. She lost her ability to talk. She had a terribly poor walking gait. She was very lacking in confidence. So she stayed with us and participated in our program for 2 or 3 years, and she just became excited, and many aspects of her health returned or improved.
Well, we thank you for speaking with us. God bless you. You're doing a great thing.
Thank you.
Like I said, your daughter's legacy lives on through you, both your daughters.
Great.
And
thank you.
It's a wonderful organization. Again, the name of it is?
Dream Riders of Kentucky.
All right.
And our website, dreamridersofkentucky.org, will give you lots of information.
All right. We want to thank Mark Clark for being with us. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Scott Mason, host of Aglife. We hope you enjoy watching the show as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. Now we want to make it even better for you. Write us at Aglife at tristatehomepage.com. Tell us what you would like to see on future episodes of the show. And if you're a farmer or know a farmer that has a great story to tell, let us know that too. We'll see you next week on Aglife.